Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Brienne and this is Books with Bri. Today I'm going to be bringing you guys a different kind of book video. So I will be discussing 3 locations and 4 books per location with you guys that I can see myself reading in those locations during that time of year. So I have 1 book for each season in each location, and I think I'm going to continue this as a series depending on how you guys like this kind of video. But the locations are my top 3 locations to visit or move to and are actually on my bucket list. So if I don't make it to any of these, I will be highly disappointed in myself. First location I am going to be talking about books for is New York, in the state of New York in the United States of America. This is the stack of books right here. It seems a little bigger than 4 books and I will explain why. So just briefly before I discuss any of them, we have City of Bones, or the entire Mortal Instrument series, and then we have The Host by Stephenie Meyer, and then this is why it's a bit larger than just simply 4 books. I have the Pillow Thoughts Poetry Collection. These are by Courtney Peppernell. And then finally, Crazy Rich Asians by Kevin Wan. So the Mortal Instrument series is something that I talk a lot about on my channel, so I'm just going to briefly go over things that I've said about it in the past. So this follows the main character, Clary Frey, at the age of 15 in New York, where she is forced to discover an entirely different world around her that her mother had kept hidden from her, and she is thrust into this new world to first save her mother and then save the world. And I can see myself reading this one in the summer in New York, simply because this takes place in New York, and with the weather being so nice during the summer, I would be able to try and walk around New York and see some of the different locations that are actually mentioned in here that are real, to get a more accurate feel of the setting of one of my favorite series. For a fall read in New York, I can see myself reading The Host by Stephenie Meyer, almost purely based on aesthetics. This really just gives me a fall vibe, and being set in a post-invasion America, this sounds like something I would be really interested in the fall. It gives kind of a spooky vibe, but essentially what I can gain from this is that the main character is being inhabited, like her body is physically being inhabited by one of the invasive species, like aliens, and the main character is theoretically supposed to fade away and let the alien take over, but she hasn't. She refuses to, and this book is actually quoted as featuring one of the most unusual love triangles in literature. And so I'm really curious to see where that goes, because the alien herself is essentially falling in love with this one guy purely through her host's memories, and so she's only getting bits and pieces of him, and it's a really intriguing idea. I am very confident that the next time I try to read this, I will be able to get through it, especially because this is a mass market paperback, so it seems a lot bigger than it really is, and the mass market paperback is paged at 829 pages. I don't know if there's more books and if this is part of a series, but I know if this would be the first book. Alright, so for a winter in New York, I can see myself reading the Pillow Thoughts Poetry Collection by Courtney Peppernell. I have the first 3 books. The 4th one is out. I am just waiting for Target to mark it down to 15 to 20% off, because I bought all of these 15 to 20% off. Each follows a different sort of healing process for different aspects of life. The first one, Pillow Thoughts Volume 1, focuses its basis on Life, Love, and Loss. It sets the basic standard for everything that is going to be talked about. The second one is Healing the Heart, and it's for when your heart is broken, whether it's by a significant other, a family member, or a friend. And then the third one is Healing the Mind, and it really talks, and it's the smallest one, it really talks about how you can heal your own mind and your own self-esteem, and it really, really helps. I do recommend these. I can see myself reading these like as a winter read because these are really quick, and you can reread them as many times as you need, and you can jump around in them as well because they do not follow a singular plot line. So these are very good for winter reads, and I can see myself in like a New York apartment snuggled up in a little bay window area watching the snow fall as I'm reading through this poetry. And lastly, for a spring read in New York, I can see myself picking up Crazy Rich Asians by Kevin Wan. Now, this one, from what I can gather from the description of the book and my viewing of the movie, is it follows Rachel Chu as she vacations in Singapore with her boyfriend Nicholas Young, only to find out that he is extremely rich and he is the country's most eligible bachelor. And this has been quoted as an amazing comedy, and I think if it is as comical as it is reviewed as, that it will bring me into such a good mood for the spring season in New York. The next location I will be talking about book reads in is London, and these are the reads that I would find myself reading in London. And so first we have Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng, Anna and the French Kiss by Stephanie Perkins, and finally, and most exciting, is Becoming by Michelle Obama. Alright, so my summer read that I can see myself reading in London is Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. And what I can gather from what I've heard from not only the synopsis of this book, but also the trailers of the Hulu original show, is this follows the families in a suburban neighborhood in Cleveland, and it's just full of drama. And I really like this quote on the back that says, Little Fires Everywhere explores the weight of secrets, the nature of art and identity, the ferocity, the furious pull of motherhood, and the danger of believing that following rules can avert disaster. I can see myself reading this during the summertime, especially in London, because it is so short and I would have so much fun sitting in a park in the shade under a tree or on a bench, just really analyzing this and being able to more accurately explore and understand the different relationships that take place in a simple suburban neighborhood and how all of those relationships affect each other. Next, for my fall read in London, I can see myself reading Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. Now this I like to categorize as the origin story for amazing enemies to lovers tropes, because this does not just have, oh, they hate each other and they get together and that's it. There is so much character development between both Elizabeth, the main character, and Mr. Darcy, her main love interest, before they are actually able to get together. And it shows how a relationship can evolve between two people and really end up healthy, even though it didn't seem like it in the first place. And this happens in the early 1800s. I think it's in 1813. Yes. It was published in 1813, so I believe it takes place just around that time, and it really is one of my favorite classics, and this is what really got me into reading classics and exploring what they are and how I would really enjoy them. Alright, next is my winter read for In London. This one I think I chose really purely based on aesthetics of the book cover itself, and that is Becoming by Michelle Obama. Even though this was based purely on aesthetics for this location and seasonal choice, this is a book that I think everyone should read, especially because there are so many things in here that just would really call out to anyone and everyone, and it reaches to so many different social and economic issues, and really is just an overall amazing insight into the life of our previous First Lady, Michelle Obama. Finally, for London is the book that I can see myself reading in the spring, and that is Anna and the French Kiss by Stephanie Perkins. So this book essentially follows Anna as she is navigating her way through her new boarding school in Paris, France. And it follows her as she not only adjusts to the culture, but she makes friends and sorts through the emotions that she has for the unavailable Antony St. Clair. Really, I think this just gives off such an amazing Love is in the Air spring vibe, and being in London, it gives you a new perspective, especially because you are closer to the culture of Paris than you are when you're in New York. Last location I would like to discuss books in is Paris, France, and these are the books that I can see myself reading in different seasons in Paris, France, and that is A Study in Charlotte by Brittany Calvero, My Oxford Year by Julia Wellen, Emergency Contact by Mary H.K. Chow. Please correct me if I mispronounce anyone's last names. I am terribly sorry. And finally, Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reid. So the book that I can see myself reading in the summer in Paris, France is Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reid. And I think it is best summarized by this quote at the bottom of the synopsis inside the book that reads, "With empathy and piercing social commentary, Such a Fun Age explores the stickiness of transactional relationships, what it means to make someone family, and the complicated reality of being a grown-up. It is a searing debut for our times." And really, I think it would be best for people to go into this book with no knowledge. But I think, again, this is not a simple or light read, and I would find myself somewhere in like a park in Paris by the Eiffel Tower or something under a tree, simply devouring this book and analyzing it to an extreme to completely understand it and understand the subtext that is brought into this book as well. For my fall read in Paris, France, I can see myself reading My Oxford Year by Julia Wellen, simply for the fact that this one starts off in the fall, and it gives you those perfect vibes of back to school and starting fresh in a new location, and the struggles of starting at a new high prestigious school under a scholarship, and the relationships that can develop, the friendships and the struggles people go through. And this really brought my eyes to the emotional complexity of humans and why we choose to have the jobs we do, and the different points in our lives that influence us to make those decisions. For my winter read in Paris, France, I can see myself reading Emergency Contact by Mary H.K. Chow. And this one I think is just purely based off of aesthetics, because this cover is so soft and elegant, and it just screams a winter read to me. But at the same time, I think it would be so good because while the entire world outside covered in snow is silent, this book is screaming of the new and the unknown for the characters inside, and what I can decipher from it, because I do not know a lot about it, is that it follows both Penny and Sam as they're in two different chapters of their lives, and their relationship grows in just a mutual text relationship until they can get through the awkward phase of meeting in person. And finally, my spring read in Paris, France would be A Study in Charlotte by Brittany Calvero. And to me, springtime kind of just screams mystery and thriller, and this one really does an amazing job because both characters are from, I believe, England, and they are the true descendants of Sherlock Holmes and Watson. And they meet up at the same boarding school and are forced to solve a murder that they are both being framed for. And I really enjoy the relationship and the representation of drug abuse in this as well. I think it does a great job, and I can see myself reading this in like the springtime in Paris. Again, just exploring and relaxing in different locations around the city while reading something as thrilling as this would be spectacular. Alright guys, that was it for today's video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know down in the comment section below what your top 3 places are that you would love to visit, and what 4 books for each season, 1 book for each season, that you can see yourself reading in that location. If you want, you can tell me why. If not, I will probably just pick up the book to see if I can figure it out for myself.